We're
We're live.
live. We're back. You guys, you remember in Wayne's World? It's like in 5, 4, 3. I've always wanted to do
Party
one of those.
time. You did it.
I've always wanted to do one of those. How you doing, E?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm holding up. Crazy busy.
Oh yeah,
That's good.
What's going down?
Oh man, we got so much going on. We got Rave the Boat. We got a DJs for Climate Action back to back. We'll talk about. We got Anané on the show today.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, this is going to be a great show. Anané is super dope, and she is, as always, doing so much interesting stuff. And we're thrilled to have her on. So that's pretty cool.
How are you?
How's
you
doing?
How you doing,
me?
man?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm cool, man. I mean, it's just like it's just endless. I feel so embarrassed, like as the rest of the world kind of like goes into this next phase, and we're still here, like bumbling around, like and people are like, "Whoa, yeah, conspiracy theory, this and blah, 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 blah." It's like, come on, man. Like, or how long are you gonna?
How much more proof do you need that shit is real and that there's there's ways of dealing with it that are successful and there's ways that are not?
I think it's like
ones that are not.
Oh, like a lot of these things, like politics, or the environment. It's like all about tangibility. Like, can you really understand it? Like, maybe it's not happening in their circle. Maybe people are like, oh, and nobody I know is getting sick. Nobody I know, like everybody's still working, so it doesn't touch them because there's so many people.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more like ominous than that. I think there's a lot of propaganda out there, right?
And there's a lot of propaganda.
I think that specifically, like Fox News puts a lot of propaganda out about to kind of align with their political agenda. And this is an example of politics getting in the way of medicine and science. And I mean, the amount of damage the extra damage we've done to our economy by not kind of having a plan and sticking to it and all coming together to solve this is exponential. I mean, we see this with our industry, right? Like, as other countries start having parties and events and festivals, we're still totally locked down.
I know.
But I mean, it may prove that those, trying to have events ends up being a problem.
It may be premature. It's true. It may be premature.
I think it's just trying to go ahead.
Yeah. Just like, but with people, I just feel like people, like life it's overwhelming. Life is overwhelming, and people are seeking some sort of meaning or answer. And the answer is that it's a challenge. It's an overwhelming thing. Even just being alive is just hard to wrap your head around, no matter how much science, religion, whatever it is. So I think in this moment of extreme difficulty, I think that's why there's so many conspiracy theories, that it's just people are like, oh, that's it. That's got to be it.
Yeah. Just something to explain it. Makes you feel safer.
But, yeah. I don't know, man. But I'm not bummed. I mean, I'm bummed, but I'm not like bummed. I'm not going to let it like bum me out. I'm going to try.
I think we're lucky that, we've been able to, we have so much going on. We've been able to kind of channel the energy into things like this Schmoozing show, like Rave the Vote.
Totally.
And also, climate activism and, racial justice discussions and action as well. So, I mean, there's so much that we can all do to channel our energy, even if we can't be out there performing music. And that's actually kind of inspiring.
To know that you have more to your life than just lugging record crates around.
I miss it, man. I miss lugging.
I know, I miss it too. I went on like a spending, like I have no income, but I like went on like a Discogs shopping spree. I was like,
retail therapy, baby.
Money. Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna get tons of wax, man.
So yeah, I mean, before we get into Anané and our Bandcamp song of the week, let's talk a little bit about climate change.
Well, I mean, I think a cool segue here is our background.
Yeah,
this is Icelandic artist Ólafur Eliasson, who is so cool. If you don't know his stuff, he has done a lot, and really at sometimes on incredible scale, including this piece. I forget the name, but basically the idea is back to this idea of tangibility, which is sort of we were talking about a minute ago. Do people really understand the impact of climate change? Excuse me, I gotta itch my nose. It's called Ice Watch. Thanks, Mike. Big up Mike running the show today.
Sound boy.
Sound boy. So at Ice Watch, the idea is that they landed these big chunks of iceberg. Is this in Iceland? Or where is this?
I actually don't know where this one is, but the first
looks European.
Was in London, and then he's installed
this in Paris
one. But he's done this around the world in different locations.
So he's imported huge pieces of Arctic glacier, and people can really go there and hear the sound of it melting and experience what a piece of iceberg is and how it melts, and I therefore get a sense of the
impermanence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Sammy Bananas is backstage.
Let's bring Sammy Bananas into the chat.
He's throwing out some info.
Yep.
Sammy, what's up?
Sammy.
Hello, everybody. How's it going, guys?
Dude, I've never seen your studio. We got this. Got some Nord action back there.
Oh yeah, we got some good stuff.
I like that wire wall.
This is my recent COVID rabbit hole.
Ooh. It's got a little modular going on.
It was
snap.
I pulled the trigger. It's a slippery slope.
What, the modular trigger? Oh, that would be great. We should do a modular episode for super dorks and nerds and weird sounds.
It never ends, man. I'm already. It's a very expensive portion of a musical hobby.
We can rob a bank together.
Let's go. Divestment. Let's divest some of that money right to our modular rigs.
For sure. I don't even have one. That's how much I need one.
So Sammy's joining us. Sammy is the founder of DJs for Climate Action, an organization that we've done a lot of work with as Soul Clap over the years. And basically, Sammy, why don't you tell us about DJs for Climate Action?
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having me on, guys. It's great to see you both chat.
Likewise.
But yeah, DJs for Climate Action is something that I started almost 10 years ago now, that just was born out of me flying a lot and traveling a lot as an artist and just feeling incredibly conflicted about my personal carbon footprint. And then sort of expanding that out to other artists I knew doing the same thing, and just the entire electronic music community, and sort of trying to approach it as using that as a pathway to engage artists who have a cultural and sort of social platform to discuss things with their fans and the broader world, to engage them with the issue of climate change, sort of like knowing that this is something that maybe some other people feel conflicted about themselves. So we've gone through over the years various methods of engaging our community. And right now we have adjusted to try to have a method to do that in the current climate of clubs being closed and flights being grounded and people kind of being in their virtual worlds, but for the safety of everybody, trying to, not gather in large groups.
You could say the climate is changing.
Climate is constantly changing. And that, I think that the climate change definitely intersects in a lot of super fascinating ways with what's going on right now in like really the restructuring of the world in some way. It's sort of like hard to know. Well, there's a lot of unknowns, but I think the optimist in Eli, I won't say in me, the optimist in Eli and the optimist in me will hope that this is an opportunity to really like have people engage with how we change some of the systems that existed before and that maybe were not sustainable and that we could do better. And maybe there's opportunities to right now have people thinking and planning for that future.
Yeah, these guys, Eli and Sammy, and everybody with DJs for Climate Action, they're not just activists. These guys are warriors. They're out there. They are speaking the gospel. They are spreading the information, the real information, not misinformation. And Eli's even taking the grad school into climate science.
That's
We've got
right.
a scientist on our hands in the making.
Not yet. Still got a lot of work to do, but I am getting a master's in climate science and policy starting in the fall.
That's right. You know, these guys are fighting the good fight. And you should follow DJs for Climate Action, DJs S4CA.
And I mean,
let them know how you feel.
So this Sunday, we're hosting our second global back-to-back times. This time's going to be at least 50. So far, we got 50 signups. We did one back in April. We had 100 DJs and live performers, each playing or performing one song. So it was pretty epic. It went all around the world. Every continent was represented, including Antarctica. No, there's no DJs in Antarctica.
Five continents. We got 5.
What's up?
5 continents? It's incredible. This is going to be great. What time are we doing that either? I know it's Sunday. You were saying 12. Did we take in the 12 slot or the 2 p.m.? When can they find us on there?
Well, it's 10. The stream is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
And we'll be on there at, say, 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock, everybody. If you want to hear Eli and I make, funny commentary, or I'll be doing that at least. I'll be trying.
I'll be saying serious statistics.
Yeah, Eli will be rock. This is the duality of Soul Clap. We are true yin and yang.
It's I mean, like it can take both uplifting music and serious statistics. I think that's one of the ideas behind the B2B is, on the one hand, coming up with a truly unique way of having a sort of like virtual DJ set where it isn't just one person sort of like playing their tracks. It's sort of like this global relay race of everybody hopping around the planet with tons of different people with different backgrounds, all sort of like giving their take. And then in that sort of like creative and fun and messy space, to be able to both sort of like globally shrink the world a little bit into the stream, and then also have a place to encourage people to learn. And in this one, we're kind of focusing on climate justice, which is a facet of the larger climate crisis that essentially talks about how it's both about the idea that the sort of vulnerable people of the world and communities are the people who are least likely responsible for climate change, are the people who are going to be hit the hardest by it and are being hit the hardest. And just, overwhelmingly, those are Black and brown people. And sort of discusses trying to figure out how we keep those people in mind in the path forward and actively engage them and come up with ways to have that be an essential part of the path forward. And I got to give it out to like my homie Joe Biden, who is, I mean, like this stuff is thankfully getting talked about at higher levels. I mean, in his climate package that he just released, there's a big part of it that's like a lot of the funding. It's a $2 trillion package, and I think 40% of that funding is directed towards communities of color.
Excellent.
And so it's like, how are we going to like lift up and like finance and inject funds into these areas, while we're also trying to transition to clean energy and all the rest. I
mean, it's net zero carbon emissions in the U.S. by 2050 is one of the goals of the plan. Yep. 1.4 trillion invested in that. And also working in a lot of the renewable energy development into the economy is a part of it as well, which is important. And I mean, this is a good segue for, I just wanted to bring up quickly, we're also doing this Rave the Vote initiative. And I'm actually, I continue to be surprised and frustrated by how many people I encounter who, are progressives, who, care about climate, who care about racial justice, who care about, equal rights, who are not, who, say they don't want to vote for Biden because they don't believe in the system. And, it's really frustrating because obviously the system is flawed. I think we can all agree on that. However, this narrative that like it's the lesser of two evils that we're dealing with is like, you can kind of throw out the door right now, out the window right now, because we know what we have right now as our president. We know the policies that have been enacted over the last 3-4 years. So it's like, you can do some research and figure out what the candidates are standing for. And here's a perfect example of what, while Joe Biden is not the perfect candidate, here's a really important step he plans on taking with climate. Whereas the current administration has rolled back 100 different environmental protections during the last 4 years, 100. So, this is something that you have to dig into, look at what you care about, and look at the policies and the platforms of the presidential candidates and also local candidates, and then vote for what you believe in. That's such a big part of this. And I think we've been fed this propaganda that our vote doesn't matter. And, sure, the electoral college means that in some states, it doesn't make a difference in the presidential election, but in local elections and in statewide elections, it's a huge difference. And in the presidential election, the impact of who gets elected is so massive, as we've seen from the last 4 years. So I don't want to hear about, it's just this two-party system is all the same, because just look at what actually happens and then come back and tell me that. Sorry for my for my rant, but it's been really frustrating.
That was a good rant. It was a great rant. I think that's one of the greater rants we've had, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, specifically, like we said, with his plan for climate, for fighting climate change is a huge step. Also for criminal justice, Biden came out wanting to get rid of private prisons, wanting to get rid of the paid bail bond system, which is the U.S. is the only country in the world that has a paid bail bond system, a for-profit bail bond system, and also to get rid of mandatory minimum sentences, which he has to do because he's the one who helped start mandatory minimum sentences. But there's a lot of different policies that we can dig into where this makes a difference. So back to the climate change stuff. I mean, this is like a really important piece of the climate activism now, is making sure we have an administration that acknowledges climate change is real and has a concrete plan of what they're going to do about it.
And for everybody out there who's, bummed, who might be bummed about the inevitable nominee on the Democratic side, I mean, at the very least, like, there's no question that this policy and this plan that he proposed is directly influenced by some of the more progressive people who we might have wanted on there, that their pressure and the climate movement in general and the successes of that movement over the past years particularly is the kind of thing that makes this stuff happen. And that, yeah, if it gets watered, maybe it gets watered down a little bit, but that's politics. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to, before we move on, I wanted to bring up the video from the previous B2B, just show the highlights. It's a quick 1-minute thing. I mean, it was really an incredible experience doing this global back-to-back back in April for the Earth Day weekend. Just to have so many artists who are committed to having their voices heard about climate action is really incredible. And it really felt like, a lot of people coming together for this cause. And it's really exciting to get to do it again this Sunday.
Yeah,
Mike, bring up that YouTube link I just dropped in there. Great. Awesome.
We had all types. We had some live music. We had DJs. We had more performance art.
There's us.
That was us.
Jinku in Nairobi. Meet Anna Luno in Los Angeles.
Oh snap! I gotta love the Earth, dude.
Who's up next? Who do we got here? Dorley. Where are you calling him from?
We're calling from Ibiza.
That one was so great. Speaking of modular,
To all the DJs too, holding it down, man. So
Yeah,
this is
B.
beautiful, man. Shout out to Roy. What's good?
Roy.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, Tucker.
Why
man,
did that come up next? That's weird. The algorithm.
Wow, the algorithm, man. Wow, that's weird. Maybe it was a take. Yeah, I think that clip really gets it across. It's sort of like, it's really like a live call-in show where everybody gets to play music, and it's tons of people. But yeah, I mean, you can go like we'll be broadcasting it again at earthnight.org or at the DJs for Climate Facebook page, which is at DJs for CA. On our twitch.tv/earthnight2020.
Yeah, we'll throw it up.
Follow us, follow DJs for Climate. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
man.
really dope.
Thanks for stopping in to plug it. And
Here. I'm excited for you guys to be involved again.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. Thanks,
Can't wait
Sammy.
to see what a diverse range of music and locations we get to interact with. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Sammy.
Cool.
See
Thanks,
you,
Sammy. Appreciate it.
See you guys.
Peace. Keep up the good work.
You too.
Later.
We love
Cool.
that guy. That guy, he's bananas, that guy.
He's bananas. Yeah, it's great. I mean, huge props to him for starting this organization. It's been so important to me to be able to be a part of it and put my energy and my time into climate activism and really have like a structure for doing it. So there's so many great people involved. There's Sammy, there's Mira, there's Robin, and Ruben are kind of like our team right now. Robin's El Bujo is his artist name. So it's and it's been amazing. So yeah, tune in on Sunday, everybody. And yeah, I mean, we mentioned Rave the Vote briefly, but next Friday is going to be our first episode of the Rave the Vote live streams as well. So next week's going to be a busy week for the streams. Rave the Vote is our initiative to register and get young people to the polls. So you can hit ravethevote.org to register to vote and to check on your status and all that good stuff, and RSVP to tune in. And this just in, pew, pew, pew. What's the sound of this just in? Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, we've got a little Morse code vibe.
Yeah.
Beep, 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 beep.
Anané is joining us
Anané, yes.
on Rave the Vote on Friday. She has just been added to the lineup.
New
and
special guest.
she's here right now as well as our special guest. I think let's skip Bandcamp Song of the Week because that one took a
I could see that you were doing that. We had a great Bandcamp song of the week, but
We'll bring it in next
you know
week.
what? It's all right. It's all right. We're modular.
Modular.
Here on Schmoozing. I think without further ado, let's welcome to the show the one and only Anané.
Anané.
Hey.
Hello. Wow. That hat.
Hey,
Yes,
guys.
that hat. Loving it. Looking stylish as ever, but
Well,
we expect nonetheless.
Thaness. Thank you.
No less.
We're trying to keep it together here.
Yep. What's going on? Where are you zooming in from? Broadcasting in from?
I'm home here in New Jersey.
Yes.
Across the river. Happy to report we're doing well.
Oh, this is wonderful.
Safe
Thank the
and
heavens.
healthy, and as good can be. That's kind of the answer now. As good
Yeah.
can be.
I mean, I feel like we're right there with you, but yeah, I think maybe this is a good thing to get into, is like kind of how it's been feeling, and maybe giving a little bit of inspiration for people who are just feeling sort of burnt out, because we're months in with like no,
Yeah.
we got no
sight.
end in sight.
Yeah,
And I think
that's
people
what makes it difficult. That's the difficult part. And by the way, thank you for having me, and thank you for what you do, because this is so cool. I was
absolutely.
listening and watching, and really informative and great what you're doing. And so, I've been kind of anti-virtual this whole time, to be honest with you. I lost, I can say I lost some of the creativity that I had, and had no interest in the virtual world, and just kind of closed myself off, and was having a hard time and dealing with everything. And little by little coming to, and my partner is completely opposite, where he dove in virtually full on every day. And for me, it was more of being all right mentally, you know, and keeping the boat afloat. And I think we're all, you know, I think you said earlier, Charlie, like, you know, some people just running to where this change is going, ready for the gun to go off, or the starting line, and into this new world. And yet some of us are just kind of laid back and just trying to search that meaning, and what is life, and what is your purpose, and what are we here for, and what do I want to do, and what do I want to say. And so for me, it was really staying healthy. It was staying healthy, mind, body, and soul. And so what's helped me is, you know, I started researching about food and the foods that we eat. What are we eating? What are we putting in our bodies? What effect does that have? What is the medicine? Whereas the world is looking for a medicine, looking for a vaccine, looking for this and that. We have medicine, and medicine is coming right from the earth. And so what we're putting into our bodies is our medicine. And so that became kind of something that I was, you know, I've been reading about and really looking into, and here at home just kind of changed the way, not me per se, because I've always tried to be healthy, but, you know, for the rest of my family, what are we putting into our bodies? What are we eating?
What are you learning from your research?
Well, you know, I'm reading a book called Vegucation Over Medication. And basically how important what we eat, you know, basically, if it doesn't come from the earth, it's not good. You know, if it's not from Mama Earth, if it doesn't come from the ground or from the trees, then we have no business eating it. And then kind of goes into why this pandemic kind of just swept over a nation and over people.
Oh, this book actually is so current that it talks about what's been going on.
Well, it doesn't talk about what's going on, but that's just kind of my take on, you know, reading what's happening and reading the statistics and seeing, you know, who's been affected by it.
Yeah, no, the U.S., I've just read the statistic. The U.S. spends, you know, as much money on healthcare as like the next 10 countries in line, but we have the most chronic health issues in our population of any country in the world.
Right, because the medication, all the medication.
That big pharma.
Right. So if we go aside from the big pharma and the money that's there, but one medication leads to another medication, to another. So you start on one, and so because you take that, then the side effect of that will need another medication, and then the side effect of that will need another one. And so even being, you know, home sometimes when we turn on the TV, it's incredible that I would say 75% of the commercials on television are medication, whether it's depression, whether, I mean, you name it, it's on there. But the interesting part is if you actually listen to what the side effects are, some of them even say possible death. But people
rattle those side effects off so fast,
right?
It's the Micro Machines guy back again, and they're just blah, blah, blah. You're like,
but they do say them, and I don't know if it's where, you know, just so blinded, and I think we've just become a people that just want instant gratification. We want everything is fast, everything is at your fingertips, everything, you know, whereas a plant takes months, takes care to grow. And yet we're here live, you know, go to your phone, instant gratification, turn on TV, everyone wants everything fast. Whereas unlike our ancestors, my grandparents who, you know, back in Cape Verde, who grew their crops, takes time, takes energy to be out in a field, to bring it in, you know, it's different. And so it's all the perspectives that we have in the world, in our life. And I think the first and foremost is each person, if we each took responsibility for ourselves, each person took the responsibility for themselves, it could create a greater good. And what we're seeing now is not. We're understanding, we get to see firsthand now that it's not about my neighbor, it's about me and well, 50% of the world. And that's why we're now seeing this great divide of the world. And whether whether it's conspiracy, politics, whatever, it is what it is. And we see a great divide. And people are not willing to say, you know what, let me look out for you, or let me move away from you because I don't feel good, or I'm not coming into work today because I don't feel good, so I don't want to get anyone else sick. It's those little things that we, within our homes, within ourselves, that we also have to instill within our children for a better tomorrow, I think, in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think, I mean, this is a bit, and food is one of the really important ways that we can do that. I mean, this is something we do have, we do have, many of us, some of us have control over, right? I started saying that, and I realized, that actually this is one of the great inequalities we have in the US and throughout the world, is that, less and less people have access to whole foods. And
let alone growing their own thing. I mean, you need land.
Well, to grow your own thing, but even just to have
a lot of land.
vegetables, to anything fresh that's not processed. We see in the U.S. these vast urban food deserts where people only have access to fast food or to processed food. So I mean, this is an inequality we have to work towards changing. But if you do have access to healthy food, to vegetables, if you decide to eat meat, to grass fed and conscientiously raised meat, that is something that you can really take responsibility for, which is going to, change your physical and your mental health, but then also improve the health of the planet around us. So I think it's so important. Anané, actually, my partner Andrea is studying right now to get her degree in nutritional therapy, and has been really involved with food and nutrition for years now. So I should connect you guys about that.
You guys should connect.
I was looking at actually a course. I was thinking of taking a course myself during this time. Why not?
Yeah.
But it's so valuable and it's so important, and really, it's real. It really is real. Once you change how you feed your temple, in the end, we're a spirit in this body, in this temple, and so in whatever your beliefs are of how you carry on. But in the meantime, how you take care of it is also how you take care of the rest of the world. You know what I mean? And that's why I say it starts with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And how you are with self at the end of the day is how you are with the rest of the world and other people. And so having this platform, and so I promote wellness, and because that's what's getting me through. That's the mental health. I mean, I work out 5 times a week, whether I bike for 15 miles in the morning or I walk for 5, or I train with my trainer. Honestly, those endorphins are real, and that's what's helping my mental state to get through. Because
I'm right there with you. Like sometimes I'll wake up like confused, grumpy, over it, and my girl Natasha, she gets me out the door. She says, get your ass out there and sweat, come back sweaty, and then we'll talk. And it works. It works.
It's real.
You gotta keep
Not for everybody, but it works for me.
Rosy.
Say what?
You gotta keep your cheeks rosy.
Dude,
Rosy
that's
cheeks,
not
Rosy,
my.
that's Charlie.
First of all, that's my Miami tan. Don't hate. Second of all, I got one of the O-ring lights. I got a circle ring. Got my Instagram look. Yep. No, you know what's funny? I was thinking as you were speaking, Anané, first 2 things that popped up in my head. First was that about fast food and accessibility to food versus what the experience of growing something from a seed to something that's edible, and the amount of time that takes, and the amount of energy that takes, and the amount of patience and nurturing. It's not just like the tomato pops up, it's like there's a process. I mean, tomatoes, terrible example because they're terrifically easy to grow, but like,
well, it's a great example. It's so easy.
There it is. It's easy, but like one tomato plant, it yields like 5 cherry tomatoes. It's not really a meal, So that's my point. Like, you know, I, like so many others, have like, you know, we got the Corona garden rocking and growing stuff, but it's like this real challenge to like, okay, this is the big reward. You get, you know, 1 tomato. So,
Right.
you know, there's such a disconnect
Right. I
from
mean,
the process to the accessibility. And another thing that I was thinking, which maybe we can all relate to, is in Croatia at the Garden Festival. If people don't know about this, like there's these fantastic festivals that happen all throughout the summer in Croatia. Maybe not this summer, sadly, but and it doesn't matter. I mean, there may be this promoter or that promoter, but they often use similar venues. And one of the great ones,
the garden is like an old.
Well,
resort.
yeah, there's that one, but then there's the other one, and then this, you know, this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this one, because, you know, Defected and Garden Festival both using the same or whatever it was. Anyway, the point is that we were on that's Zadar.
No,
What's
that's
the name of that one?
That's Tisno. The garden.
Tisno.
Yeah.
No,
Don't listen to me. I'm saying some stupid shit. But yeah, Tisno, where and Anané performed there as well, correct?
Sunspeed, yes.
Yeah. For Sunset Beat. Yeah, see, that's another example. See?
Yeah, there's Sunset Beat, Love International, Defected.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So out there, it's like it's like so gorgeous. I could cry. It's so beautiful on the ocean and you know, Croatia, they have like it's very Mediterranean.
Like right now, like we would be there right now.
We would probably be there right now. The three of us would probably be playing some wonderful weekender together and like soaking up the rays.
Right.
Anyway, so they've got these fig trees all over that property.
Yeah.
And I've been there, you know, when Eli and I've been many times. I think only 1 year, and I think it was for Defected, that these fig trees were like in full peak. They were having their real moment. And you know, I spied them and I saw it and I was like, oh my God, these are amazing. So the whole weekend, you know, it's me. I was a little bit fatter then, so I was like probably pretty sweaty and like, you know, pulling figs from the trees. And the British, like tourists, ravers that were there, you know, I think in the UK also there's even further disconnect for like fresh produce.
Yeah.
Like at least in America we have like the you know, organic, like Southern California, like farmland. Okay, it's come back. But anyway, the point is like, well, look, you can go to like, at least you could go to 7-Eleven and get like a banana, you know? True. I don't know if you could do that at like the market. No, of course you can. Anyway, the point is that I kept getting like hated on by all these people that were like, oh, you're crazy. You're going to end up in the hospital.
For eating a fig.
Like pulling a fig off a tree. I'm like, no, it's a fig. I'm like, where do you think it comes from? And that's my point, is that the disconnect is so great. People don't know, like, you know, how it happens and where did this stuff comes from. And it seems foreign and strange to do it the way that it's intended to be done, which is off the vine, you know?
Right.
That's my rant for the day.
My grandma had a fig tree actually when I was.
She had a fig tree in Cape Verde?
No, this was my grandma in Portugal. In Cape Verde, there was a coconut tree. So you just climb up as kids, you climb up the coconut tree and bring them down, and grandma chops it off and you just eat it like that.
What's it like over there, West Africa? What's it like over there? We've never been to West Africa.
Oh my goodness, Cape Verde
is so beautiful.
It's really beautiful. It's we're off the coast of Senegal, Dakar. We're about 500 kilometers off their coast, and Cape Verde is 10 tiny little islands, and one of them, they're all habitat but one, and they're just absolutely amazing. But if you go from island to island, each island is different. One island is lush and green. Another one is an actual volcano, Fogo.
It's a live volcano, active?
Only one, and it's active. It actually it went off, I think, like 5 years ago.
Oh gosh.
There's one. Sal is just like a desert, and it's known for its windsurfing and kiting competition worldwide, and it's known for their tuna and swordfish. People go there for the sport fishing.
Yikes! Are they getting fished out over there?
No, they're not actually. And
really,
all the hurricanes start over Cape Verde and make their way across the Atlantic to the Caribbean. But we don't get rain, really. We get rain probably once, twice a year.
Well, thanks, Cape Verde, from Floridian. Jeez.
Sorry. So yeah,
Gosh,
so
that sounds so beautiful.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. Unfortunately, we left during a time of we left in exile. My dad's Portuguese, and we had to, because my dad worked for the port. He worked at the port with all the fish, doing importing and exporting, and because his position in being Portuguese, the Cape Verdeans didn't want him there anymore, and so they vandalized our home and our car.
Oh my
and
God.
received death threats, and we just had to pack up one night and leave to Portugal, and got to Portugal. And my dad's side of the family being Portuguese and my mom being Cape Verde, that was a no-no back then. So we weren't really welcomed. And my dad heard that a lot of his sister came to the States first. She went to Texas. So he went to Texas and worked out on an oil rig and didn't like it, didn't feel that was the place for his family, but heard that many of the Cape Verdean and Portuguese people came to the New England area because of the fishing industry. And so that's where he came up to Rhode Island. Some friends of his were there, and he worked for about a year and got a little home set up for us and went back to Portugal and brought us back to the States. And, you know, I think who I am today is a reflection of my past and my childhood, because from leaving in exile in the middle of the night and then just getting to the United States, and like that, I think that first year that we were here, our house caught fire while us kids were at home during the summertime, and we were able to escape that. And then the following year, and myself, my dad and mom got into a really bad car accident and landed in the lake upside down. The car knocked out.
In Rhode Island?
In Rhode Island, yeah. It was during winter time, and we were coming back from it was like around Christmas time. We were coming back from a family function, and it was a drunk driver that ran us off the road.
Oh no!
And the car my dad swerved and just kind of flipped and landed in this lake. And so I think, you know, to build resilience as a child, and being of multi-race and dealing with racism, I think, from both sides, and as we're seeing what's happening today in such a divide, dealing with racism on both sides and kind of trying to understand who you are, where you come from, what's your background, is a bit confusing. Although in my home, everything seemed normal. You know, my mom's got beautiful chocolate skin. My dad's a white man. So I didn't know. And it wasn't until I think middle school that I started to understand what racism was and couldn't fit in. And so I kind of fit in where I made friends was with the Latin community. My best friend was Colombian. My other friend was Puerto Rican. And that's kind of where I fit, and kind of what I passed off for was being Latina and not multiracial. So all of that today, as a woman who I am and being a woman in this industry, is, I think, a reflection of what you go through as a child and the resilience that you build in wanting to have something and be someone and have a voice and be an example and share that with other women and with other girls. And I feel, you know, I think that's where the world is just having compassion, just having human compassion.
I'm so about that.
It's just human compassion. It's a human race, you know. And as generations and generations, and the more we come together and more cultures mix together, and the beautiful children that are being made, you know, from so many mixed races, you just can't define one. You just can't define one except the human race. You know,
I mean, white supremacists want to define white people as the
they're trying. They keep trying because they're scared. Because it's not. They're trying to find even more
the single like pure race is the past. I mean, it's quickly disappearing.
It's disappearing, and that's why they're so scared. It's disappearing and becoming non-existent because the world keeps coming together. And as much as there is hate and that we talk about and everything, there's so much good that we could look at, and there's so much positivity that we could look at, and all the beautiful outcomes that is coming from all this ugliness. And I think the only way to get to another side of anything in life is going through the darkness, is going through the fire. And who comes out of that? Who comes out, and how do you come out of that? How does your heart come out of that? How does your spirit come out of that? Your compassion for your sister, your brother, how do you come out of that? And I think it's needed. It was needed. We needed this reset. We needed this push of a button to reset everything, to, wake up on so many levels that, like you're saying, with whether it's climate, the human race, what are we doing? Because we are powerful, and we do have a voice. And the more we use it, and thankfully a platform like this inspires others and wakes others to say, you know what? Yeah, I do have a voice. And yes, I do have something to say. So why not be out there or do what is the little that I can do? What can I do? And so then there you find your passion and what it is that you want to do to make this a better place for our children.
Yeah, I think that's a great message. Well, there's two things that really were powerful. I mean, the compassion thing is something we've touched on a lot. That's something that, is that we really need to share, and like always trying to be compassionate about what someone else is going through and where their head is at, where their soul, their spirit is at, is so important. But then also, this idea of finding what inspires you and then putting your energy into that, what you're going to do. It can be really daunting, really overwhelming to, whether it's politics or whether it's climate change or whether it's racial justice or any of these things, to try to deal with all of them at once as a human is really overwhelming. But there's so many different ways you can put your energy into activism or your energy into change. And I think like that's something else that's come up a lot on the show, is like politics isn't just voting in the election. Politics is every day taking actions that you think are going to make the world a better place. So I feel like that's such an important message.
And as we talk about, the November election being the biggest of all, we can keep scaling it back, and you'll find that being involved politically and voting for these smaller and smaller elections are going to make a bigger, more profound difference in your locally. And even further back, exercising love and compassion to your neighbors, that's going to affect your immediate block, your neighborhood, your street, your home, your relationship, your friendships. So, I mean, that's key. Do you remember Dr. Seuss, The Sneetches?
Of course. I was actually just reading that to Alma.
You read it? I love that, Eli.
Yep.
That's why you're my bro. The Sneetches lived on the beaches. Is that right?
Yeah, they lived on the beaches, and some of them had bellies with stars.
Oh, they're all Sneetches. They're all one Sneetch race.
One Sneetch race. Yeah.
One Sneetch race, but some of them had stars on their bellies.
Yep. And some of them had bellies with stars, and some of them had none upon thars.
They had none upon thars.
Nope, none upon.
And this became a racial Sneetch divide. But they all lived on the beach, and hating on each other, they really bummed each other out. And I can't remember the rest of the plot.
Well, no, so the ones without stars got really bummed out because they were getting discriminated against because they had no stars.
They had no stars upon bars.
This salesman shows up on the beach. The slick salesman shows up on the beach. He says, look, I got the solution for you non-star Sneetches. I got a machine that's going to give you stars on your bellies. You just got to pay me $10. So they all pay him $10 and they get stars on their bellies, and they run up to the star belly Sneetches and they say, we have stars now. We're equal.
Now.
And the star belly Sneetches say, oh, hell no. And they go over to the salesman, and the salesman says, I got you guys for only $20. I'll take off your stars. And then you'll be better again with no stars.
It's fucking brilliant, man.
So then, he does this, and they all go through and around and through and over until they don't know the difference anymore. And some of them have stars, some of them don't, and they don't know the difference. And then they all come together as one race.
So perhaps the way forward is truly to keep coming together and loving each other until we're the same color.
Keep
Yeah.
mixing. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to keep mixing.
You know, I feel like it's also good
You
for
know.
our gene pools, like genetic disorders.
Are you kidding? You know what it's like to be Ashkenazi Jew?
Well, this,
You just
this is my point.
your quadriceps, your calves hurt all the time.
I consider myself so lucky to have had a child with a Latin woman, to have mixed and not just you know, continue the single bloodline, because there's so many dangers of inbreeding, I guess, at that point.
No, well, that's going a little extra.
Yeah, no, I know.
We like that. It's okay to be extra.
Yeah,
but you know what? Look, it's a
privilege to be able to mix and live in a world where we can love who we want to love.
Of course. It's love. At the end of the day, it's love and compassion, and love knows no boundaries. That's just what it comes down to. Love knows no boundaries. And so if we could just know that and understand that and keep on pushing that, love knows no boundaries. It knows no skin color. It knows no political views. Love is love, but somehow it's getting lost.
Got to beware that beach salesman, and with his machine, with his star-unstar machine.
Yep.
Who seems to be so prevalent these days.
Dude, in the end, they're just trying to make money. They don't care. They want to keep fighting each other, and they want to make money. That's all it is. It's
hard to get out of this loop too, because like with this, like with capitalism and like the competitive nature of these huge corporations, you know, it's like you can't just go and like stop like all this ridiculous tax-free profit, because then your competitor is going to come, you know, they're not going to do it because they're greedy or whatever. And then, you know, you're going to be like out because your stock's going to plummet, because that seems to be driving everything, which is like, it's not like based on any real numbers. It's all just like a bunch of, you know, like coked up egotists like playing roulette with like the future values of companies. I was hanging out with a friend, socially distanced, 6 feet, masked, you know, fully bagged and tagged. And what we were talking about is like, yo, we should have like a limitation on how much these big corporations and lobbyists can contribute to political candidates. If it was like 10 grand, that's it, you know, then you wouldn't have all this corruption going on between corporate interests and like the political candidates, you know? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, our system, you know, it's this corruption that's out in the open. It's legal corruption. That's what the lobbying we have in our political system is. It's wild. It's wild.
How do we take the money out of politics? Keisha
Tina! Woo! This is our number one viewer. She watches every week and she shouts out every week. So
we should do the Keisha Tina episode. That'll be our 100th episode. Is the Keisha Tina episode.
There's bipartisan things I feel like that people can agree on, you know, like taking money out of like, you know, get campaign finance reform, taking money out of politics is something I feel like we all can agree on. You know, something I heard is bipartisan is allowing felons to rehabilitate and then be able to vote. You know, once you're out of jail and rehabilitate into society, you should be able to vote.
There's something passed recently that where was it? Something passed.
I agree with that though. That's something
that like felons have the right to vote. Is it New York State?
Well, no, Florida in the last election passed the right of felons to vote, but then of course the Republican-led state Senate blocked it.
Was like last week or past 2 weeks.
No, it was in 2018 they passed this bill. It was actually the people voted on this. This was like a bill voted on by the like a ballot initiative voted on by the people of the state, and then
maybe Mike can look it up if I'm tripping, but I'm probably
something else.
No, I don't know. I get all my news from Reddit, so like who knows what?
It's probably just an old story that popped up.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, that was. Where were we?
We're talking about the Sneetches, Eli.
Oh yeah,
just like every week.
it's such a great analogy though for what we're dealing with now is like somebody trying to stoke, you know, or like the fires of hate trying to be stoked So
Yeah.
everybody's fighting each other
Yeah.
instead of coming together and making the world better and being positive.
Divide and conquer. I mean, life is a sphere. Everything goes in circles. There's nothing that we haven't had anything that hasn't happened. Everything keeps repeating itself. And the question is when do you learn from the repetition? When does it finally change? And I think that's where we are now, of so much repetition of what's happened, that we are at a place where people don't want to repeat that. We want to see change. People want to see change. The younger, the youth, they want to see change. And so that's what is, I feel what's happening now with this whole reset.
I mean, when we were prepping for the show, hold up. Lady Rock says we could change the world by learning from our past mistakes.
True.
Yeah. And how about that? How about our past remains intact and factual instead of, meddled with by racist, schmucks? What do you think about that? How about our history doesn't get erased and we keep a record that's accurate?
Well, I mean, the history that we have already was not accurate. The history is written by white men already. So it's hard. It's hard to even know what history is true and what's not already, like as we dig in, as we learned from Rich Medina a couple of weeks ago, so much of what we know about slavery and systemic racism is not taught in schools. You have to go out on your own and you have to find this information.
And that's the key is self. It starts here. Yeah. It starts with self. No matter what, and we're never, there will always be a divide. There will always be sun and night, the moon and the sun. There will always be a divide that we can't get away with. But how do we start with ourselves? What do we learn and what do we give to the next person? And then that next person, what do they give to the next person? So it really starts with self. And how much do you want to learn? What do you want to change? What would you like to leave behind? What do you want to give to the next person? Because at the end of the day, we could sit here and rattle down all the, like you said, all the different things that are happening. I don't have the energy for all of them, nor do I have the mental state to be in all of them, because for some people it's difficult. It's a difficulty to try to be in everything and try to change something. And what is my responsibility and what do I have to do? No, your responsibility, our responsibility is ourself. And if self is good, then self can do something for someone else. And if it's one person, it's one person. If it's 10 other people, then it's 10. If it's 1,000, it's 1,000, 1,000, it's 1,000, it's 1,000. Different missions. And so my mission isn't the same as yours or as the next person, but it's mine. It's my personal journey. And what do I want to give from my personal journey to the next person? And so right off the bat is, of course, my son. And so my son is my first. What do I want to leave with him? What do I want him to carry on through life? And so we each have to really stop for a minute, because it's all moving so fast and there's so much demand, you know what I mean? And people got to be okay. You got to be mentally okay to take on a lot. And sometimes you got to be okay to say, you know what, I can't deal with all of this too. And that's okay too, because not everybody is equipped to deal with everything that is happening and everything that's changed. You have to do this, you have to do that. No. You have to do what is in your heart, as long as it's not hurting someone else, as long as it's not bringing someone else down. You got to be good with you first. And then from there, then you can take on one at a time what you feel is your purpose, I
mean, let's make a distinction here too. Oh, I'm getting a little echo over there.
Weird. Me too.
Well, what do we do? Mike, what do we do? Emergency. What's he saying?
Eating.
Is it me? Oh.
I try switching my mic. Is that better?
There. It's working.
It's working.
It's working.
No.
Oh, is it on a 90 side? 2, 3, 4. And we're back. Uh-oh. Is this maybe this is the dial-up situation? Or do you have Anané, do you have headphones?
No.
Wait, is it better now?
No. Let's see.
Now? Is it me?
No, that's working.
That's
No, that's not
better.
working.
Wait, no.
2, 3, 4.
This is
There, it works when she's
Yeah.
muted. Do you want to, Mike? You'll
Yeah.
pull her out, put her back in again. Anyway, I wanted to just say that there's a real distinction here, though, that like working on yourself. Working
Yeah,
on yourself.
Anané, the thing to do here is if you just quit your browser and then start the browser again and then go back to the link. We've had this before.
So
Cool.
yeah, like distinction, like working on yourself, that does not, and focusing on self and trying to excel there, that does not make you selfish. That's a big distinction that I think that it's important to reiterate. You know, to being able to say no, I don't have the capacity to deal. I don't have the time. I don't have time for this right now. That doesn't make you selfish. And there could be friends or loved ones that are, you know, needing you. But how can you give yourself? Let's see. Is she back?
Yep.
Does that work?
Does it
Oh,
work?
we are golden. See?
Yep.
That sounds good. We
Great.
sound good. No, I was just telling Eli, there's a big distinction here between working on yourself and making yourself stronger and better and being selfish. This is not being selfish.
No.
How can you give love and compassion if you are not whole inside? I mean, but we have like, we all know, have a friend who's like, you know, will work themselves to the bone to like make sure somebody else is cool. And it can go years before that kind of behavior can catch up.
Right.
But you know, don't let if someone's like putting you down for oh come on, let's do the thing that we do on Thursday nights, whatever. And you say, no, I can't. I need to work on myself. I want to get into something. I need some time for myself. You know,
Right.
It's important to make that space for yourself.
Right.
And that's part of something that'll slow down the passing of time. Maybe.
Yep.
I think that it seems like this is increasingly sped up, or maybe that's just a side effect of growing up because you've been on planet Earth for longer. So time is now relatively shrinking.
Right.
Time goes faster as we get older, that's for sure. But I feel like during this kind of quarantine time, it's going even faster.
It's going so fast.
It's
so fast.
Like 30 days in one day.
It feels it. I'm yeah, totally. It's so weird. And I'm like used to be like a total night owl, and now I'm like 7 p.m. Forget it. I'm done. You know, and I don't know if you know, this is terrible. MTV's been playing ridiculousness on like marathon for like 2.5 weeks. So, I mean, that doesn't help because it's like how everything is now 20-minute Rob Dyrdek episodes. It's weird.
Talk about brain drain.
It's just great though. It's like it's great. It's wonderful. It's wonderful programming. What's up with MTV, dude? Why? How come they just haven't been playing music videos ever?
They stopped a while ago, man.
I know, but it's like
reality TV. Reality TV is where the money's at.
That's like another example of just terrible greed. Like, play the music videos. You know what? Let's play Anané's music video because MTV won't.
Great segue.
You know, Anané is celebrating. This is 10 years of her imprint, Nulu Music, founded.
Well, it's actually 11. So
11.
I celebrated 10 years last year, 2019. So now we're in 11 years.
So dope.
It's 10 years of Nulu music.
And you sent us 2 videos. There's Batito Profondo, which is that Portuguese?
It's actually Italian. It's song
It's Italian.
in Italian, yes.
And the other one was are these both on, because you're celebrating by releasing both a compilation on Nulu Music and a compilation of Anané's greatest on Vega Records?
So last year, what I did was on Nulu for 10 years, we released a series of 3 compilations called Past, Present, and Future of Nulu. So we, did from all the first to the current to what we got coming. We did a special vinyl edition as well. So we did 3 compilations last year. So flash forward to now to 2020. We're re-releasing the album Anané's World, Chapters of Becoming Anané. It's a body of work that spans over 15 years. And we decided to do it, Louis and I. It's coming out on Vega Records July 31st. And basically, it's just music that I've done as an artist, as a singer, songwriter, over the years. And when we had released it, I mean, we don't have all the, all this media platform and to get it out, the Spotify's and all the social media. So we wanted to re-release it because a lot of the music that we've done, and this goes for good music, is timeless. And so you can play music, that you did 15 years ago, and it still sounds fresh, and the lyrics still mean something, and that's what we wanted to do. So July 31st on Vega Records is the week. And
Nice.
and then so going between the two, being an artist and running a label, and sometimes feeling creative and sometimes not feeling creative, it's been an interesting ride, but a beautiful one.
I feel you. I mean, for me, it's been a lot of ups and downs. Like I didn't even really want to do anything music wise the first couple months. Actually, the first week of quarantine, we did like a live stream every day. We're like, let's go in on this. And then it was like, by the end of that,
it would have been Winter Music. It would have been our 20-year anniversary of Eli and I going down to Miami for WMC, which is wild.
We had a plan, the same Winter Music Conference. I've been doing for 10 years. I started in a little hotel lobby at the Shelley Hotel, but I've been going to Winter Music Conference 25 years. When Warsaw was happening in Liquid, and
snap.
What was it?
What was Liquid? Was on Washington?
Yeah.
Oh,
and,
man.
Warsaw, and what was it? Magic
Sessions?
Magic Sessions.
Magic Sessions.
Yes. Oh, man. I mean,
good.
I didn't scrape enough money to get down there, and it was a bunch of us in one hotel room when I first went down, and then now today I get to celebrate with bringing my label down and bringing different artists from South Africa, or from from London, or from the Netherlands, or wherever. So it's been quite an amazing journey. But like you, when this quarantine went down, I went out. I didn't want to know anything about virtual. I didn't want to be in front of a camera. I didn't want to do all of this. It wasn't actually until this last week that I did a Nulu movement. So I do Nulu movement there's Nulu music and there's Nulu electronic. And then Nulu movement is the party with both brands. And so I have a residency at Laban for 4 years now. And I do them all over, the world as well. And so I have the artists come and play. And so I do the weekly radio show on House FM every Saturday morning here in the States, a 2-hour show for the last 4 years. And then I do Nulu Movement on Kaya FM in South Africa every Friday for the past 3 years. And I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to do virtual. I was a guest on Louis Show on Worldwide FM twice, I think. And I just wasn't interested in doing this virtual thing. I didn't feel a connection because I was so used to being with an audience. And when I play music, I come out of the booth, I go on the dance floor, and that's just me. It wasn't until this past week where I did a live stream of Nulu Movement for House FM that I understood what it wasn't even about me. It was what it does for those who follow, the fans and the music. And after reading comments and really being connected, it was almost like, you know what? It's now the new connection, and there is a connection there. It's different and it takes time to get used to. And I'm coming around to getting used to it now. But I still have hope that we'll soon be dancing together. But I didn't want anything to do with the virtual world. I was just totally no creative juice, nothing at all. And I'm just coming around now to starting to feel myself and like this new world, and what are we moving into just now? What are we, like 3-4 months into it?
You know, we really thrive off this connection and being around each other, especially in our dance music world. We are literally shoved on top of each other in a DJ booth, on a dance floor, backstage, in a taxi. We're spending this time together, and this is, you know, for a lot of people what inspires, you know.
Yeah.
So it's tough. You know, I think of like when these depictions of the future where everything is flying cars and robots and stuff, you know, they sort of blew it, because that's not how things are. It's like you might have a robot in a flying car, but then you'll still have a wheelbarrow, you know, like you have every incarnation going from, you know, if like highly evolved to just earth touching the earth, you know, plowing the fields. And I mean, I think that this virtual thing, it's not something that everyone's going to immediately gravitate to. And I don't think that's because of age. I think it's just because you're not like, not everybody vibrates like that naturally. You know,
Right.
I think for us, even before we started, I feel like, you know, it was sort of nerve-wracking to do things this way. Like, what, we're supposed to be on stage, like DJing, but like there's no crowd interaction. You know, that's how you know whether or not what your idea is connecting or not. You know?
Right.
Yeah, no, it's a really strange thing. I mean, and you know, like I said, we did the first week like of quarantine, we did a ton of streams, but just by the end of that, just realizing how it didn't fill the pot back up. Like you're giving, but you're not getting back the energy in the same way that you are when you go in a club and you play, or you play with people. And it's also like you can be in a club and there's 10 people into it, or like dancing and like connecting. It doesn't matter how many there are, as long as there's some that you connect with. Like there could be one person.
One in the front row.
Yeah,
you know,
that's it. Like that's all you
it.
necessarily need,
Sweating.
right? Like, but when you don't necessarily have that, and yeah, sure, there's comments and you see how many people are tuning in, but it's a different feeling. It's a very different feeling. And so it's, you know, it definitely has taken time for me as well to get back into what DJing, or like try to figure out what DJing can be, and the way that feels the most fun and rewarding and connected to how it used to be. But also, I mean, having this show, this podcast, this talk show has been really amazing to have this kind of long format to both catch up with old friends and also deal with, you know, serious issues that we're going through, and also learn from people and connect with new people. It's been a really, really powerful thing that I'm really thankful for. I think and this wouldn't have happened without quarantine. So, you know, there's certain things that I think we can actually learn and grow from with our streaming.
Yep, I agree. Thank God for technology.
Yeah. Or not. I don't know. It's a question. It probably goes back and forth, right? Because like, I don't know, like, isn't this great divider? You know, it's the connector and the separator simultaneously.
It's the builder and the destroyer, like with COVID, you know, like COVID wouldn't exist without the ability for us to fly all around the world. You know, it wouldn't be on this level. It wouldn't have reached us in the same way it maybe would have been dealt with. But, you know, because we have the technology, we can still be connected, and we can still maintain something of, you know, and grow in new ways because of the technology.
Right.
So it is that double-edged sword always.
Anané, what made you want to start a record label? And I'm really curious, like, how that began. And you've got a really interesting story. I mean, for people that don't know Anané's history, I mean, go check out her bio. This woman has done absolutely everything. She's been a pageant contestant in a beauty pageant. She's a singer. She's a songwriter. She's done like the biggest gigs there could be. She's performed. Okay, look, I'm just going full disclosure. She is married to Louis Vega from Masters at Work, little Louis Vega, who is a friend and a incredible. Excuse me. He's a double-edged sword. He's a Gemini, just like Eli and my girlfriend and so many others.
We share me and Louis share a birthday.
These Geminis. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
You know what? No, it has nothing to do with being a Gemini. It has nothing to do with him personally. It's just the fact of being in this industry and being married to, and so because I'm married to, a lot of stigma, a lot of doors closed, a lot of. Let me tell you something.
Doors closed?
The amount of, can I say balls?
You can say balls.
Yep.
To be in the same
Cojones.
Cojones. Say it like you're in Jersey.
a lot of
Balls. A lot of balls.
But the amount that it takes to be in this industry with a partner like Louis, as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, and running my own, man, let me tell you something. I mean, I've had doors closed just because the fact, I mean, I won't name any, I should.
You could.
You can
I could.
whatever you want to do.
I mean, we were once told by a very well-known label that they don't work with husband and wife.
But what a ridiculous policy.
Right. So,
That's
but
interesting.
that's just some of the things that some of the
That's so weird.
Made it up on the spot. Like what?
Right. I mean, I would take it if you just said, listen, we don't like the song, it's good, we pass. But to say that, no, well, we don't really like to get involved with husband and wife team, work was a shocker to me.
I mean, look, family and business together, can be a recipe for disaster.
It's
difficult. There's a lot of.
It's definitely difficult. I'm not gonna pretend like if everything is peace, love, and music, which we make it. But it's difficult. And it was very difficult coming up, and because I had no intention on DJing. First of all, I had no intention on being a DJ. I came to New York, as I've gotten to share my story in different interviews. I left home with $100, which home was Rhode Island. I bought a one-way bus ticket, and I had $100 that I saved, and a shopping bag, not even a luggage. We didn't have money then. A shopping bag of clothes. And I happened to know friends from my rave days that I would come up to New York for all the different raves up here. And I had a few friends in New York, and I called them up when I got here and I said, listen, I'm in New York and I need a place to stay. They let me stay on their couch. The empty kitchen cabinets were my closets. But I didn't care. Wow. I was in New York City.
Yep.
And I would go around looking for work. I became a waitress at night. I lived on Prince and Elizabeth, and someone approached me in the street and said, you should model. Let me take you to my friend. She's a photographer.
Wow, you were scouted off the streets of New York?
That's that whole story, right?
Wow.
So they took me to their friend. She's a photographer. She had a studio on Bowery. Went there and we did some test shots. Then he took me to Wilhelmina, Ford, to all the agencies. I ended up signing with Click Model Management. And so my days consisted of all the go-sees, theater classes, dance classes, and Sound Factory Bar on Wednesday nights.
Yeah. This is your therapy.
That was my church. Wednesday nights at Sound Factory Bar. And I'll never forget the first time that I went to Sound Factory. I waited in line and I got to the front and it was Willie Ninja at the door. May he rest in peace. And he, I didn't have a guest list. I knew nobody, but he gave me a little shade, whatever, but he let me in. So I got in, and I'll never forget walking through those curtains, those big red velvet curtains and walking into Sound Factory Bar, and the music and the people. I mean, flashback 10 years, I was introduced to house music back in Rhode Island through my gay friends. There was a little local club in Providence that we went to. So
Which one?
Yeah, because I was about to say, like, we would go down from Boston to Providence on Tuesdays.
Well, I would go to the Loft to hear Armand.
In Boston.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so with my friends, we started like a little after hours in Rhode Island that we would do. And I had Armand and John, the White Horse, with John, what was his name, come play for me in Rhode Island. We used to throw these illegal warehouse parties.
No way.
Yep.
A friend of a friend who had this one warehouse like in this building, and we just get the equipment and we would throw these underground parties. And
was it John Debo?
No, by John, the White Horse, something like that.
I don't know, because I think I never made it to the Loft. I was too young.
We just missed it. We just missed it.
It was,
but we're like,
DJ Bruno,
definitely come from the school of DJ Bruno for
Shout
sure.
out to DJ Bruno,
absolutely.
Bruno and Armand. So I would leave. We would leave Rhode Island because Boston was open a little later. So we would leave Rhode Island and head to Boston for the last few hours to get it in.
Yep.
So flash forward, coming back to New York, I found, what I was going to when I was in Rhode Island here, and it was Sound Factory Bar, and then it was Twilo, and it was The Tunnel, it was Save the Robots, Mars. Oh man. Oh my goodness, what an amazing time in the 90s in New York City, because you could go to Nell's and hear, R&B, hip hop, house, reggae all in one night on different floors, or, the Jet Groove, or Don Hills, to go hear Mark Ronson play some hip hop.
Wow.
Just an amazing time. So for me, it was absorbing this. I was in New York City. I didn't care. I didn't have a dime to my name. I couldn't take a train. I ate cereal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But I didn't care. I was in New York City. So anyway, I ended up signing with this modeling agency, Click, and I modeled for many years. I did a lot of catalog work. I also did some music videos for Redman and Eric Sermon.
No, shut up.
Wait, we got to bring up those videos.
What song? And we've got, oh my God, can we pull this up?
It was a remake. I think it was a remake of Rapper's Delight, I want to say. And then
they did do something.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mike, can we pull this up?
Jam, it was like Def Jam All Stars.
Yeah. It was.
Okay. He better go looking for this. This is going to be amazing.
Then I did also Byron Stingley. I was, I was in that. So for me, it was just being in New York City and being in an incredible melting pot of people. And, I waitress that night, and during the day was the go-sees and the castings. And then at night I'd go party, and then get, on my days off. And this was the era of, the lines, and you get picked to come in. I never had to stand in line except for Sound Factory Bar.
Go figure.
Go figure, right? And
of all the places with all the DJs,
right? And then I ended up remaking "Standing in Line," as a song, which is will be on the album. So for me, it was just, I feel like I'm this bridge. I wasn't here for Studio 54 and the garage and all of this, but I feel like I'm this bridge between time and I love this. Our producer's Mike has pulled up the video. Do you remember? Are you throughout the thing? We don't have to watch the whole thing. Let's just try to get a glimpse of 90s Anané backup dancing for Redman and Eric Sermon. Oh my God! I'm so oh yeah back there at the end and. At the end, we're gonna go looking. We can even be talking while we do this. Yeah, let's just let it play and talk. This is fun. Redman's as New Jersey as it gets. Where was Eric Sermon from? Do you remember? Oh, you didn't. Oh, we did. I thought we were gonna watch one of my videos. Like, we're gonna watch your video. We'll get there. I'll see it somewhere. Well, look, just to go back to how impressive
your CV, your resume is. Oh, you can freeze frame. Hopefully, we can freeze frame when she.
No,
when she
I
pops
don't
up.
think it's like way back there somewhere.
Well, we'll put the clip, but look, we also read Anané. I mean, we've got the footage of Anané and Louis Vega with their band Elements of Life. They performed the 2007 Super Bowl here in Miami. That is an incredible performance, and that's like as big of a stage that you can get. So she's done it all, from the small hotel lobbies, WMC, to the biggest, the stage, the Super Bowl. She's also been invited by the Obamas to perform for a reception.
Yeah.
And also by Nelson Mandela's family.
Yes, they MC in Polokwane, South Africa.
This is incredible.
You're not gonna find. I don't even have my glasses on.
We're gonna find you.
No,
I think I just read Nelson Mandela's daughter just passed.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
So rest in power to her. What was her name?
Putting me on the spot.
No. Well, let's look it up. Well, that's not you breakdancing, Anané.
No, definitely not. I'm in the back. I'm way in the.
You're not in the whip. You're not in the back of the drop top.
No, I'm in that scene, the dancer scene, way in the back. You're not.
We're gonna find you. We're gonna find you, and we gotta post the clip.
I don't think you are.
So
it must have been
Vinzi
wild.
Mandela just passed. She kind of helped carry on her father's legacy of activism for racial justice in South Africa. So
yeah, let's flash to the Super Bowl where
let's do the Super Bowl footage. This is a hoot, though. I'm glad. I love these nuggets. These nuggets from music history and people's past. We've got plenty of Eli and I looking really baby faced, and we'll have to go to the throwback episode. Yeah, Mike, let's try to pull up the footage of 2007 Super Bowl here in Miami, and announcing Elements of Life and Anané, none other than, I believe that is Gloria Estefan.
Yeah.
South Florida.
I love this.
Man.
Hola.
Tonight we are here to celebrate the high energy fusion of South Florida and football. That's a hot combination, isn't it? To help us do that, we are excited to have Cirque du Soleil, known around the world for their unique style of entertainment and creative imagination. Cirque du Soleil has teamed up with internationally acclaimed Miami pop artist Romero Brito, who has captured the culture of South Florida with his extraordinary style. And
I believe the geek from Cirque du Soleil has done a fair amount of investment here in Miami, especially Magic City. And Louis wearing the Brito.
I still have that dress. That fabric was specially made for that event.
Wow. Yeah, for people that don't know, like Gloria Estefan and her family, they are deep Miami. I mean, they're like, she went beyond just making hit records.
That's Nico that you hear in the beginning laughing.
Oh, cute. Yeah, let's get a little volume on that.
Yeah, pump it up.
This is the coolest thing ever, man.
We actually were tickling these in the studio to make them fly.
And I think you guys did a limited edition picture disc Brito vinyl.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. This has got to be the first time that Sugar Lyrics says, I remember watching this. We were so proud to see y'all perform the halftime show.
And actually, for this one was when Prince performed at the halftime, so we saw him backstage.
Who was performing?
Prince performed halftime.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he was backstage.
Oh, this and the same Super Bowl?
Yeah. Yep.
I remember that. And then it started raining because it rains random. It can be raining sporadically in Miami.
Yep.
And I believe it did rain during Prince's Purple Rain performance.
Yeah, it was raining just before we started.
Wow. This has got to be the deepest music ever performed at a Super Bowl.
Wave after wave, here we come. Awake the dream that's in your heart.
There you go.
Let us rejoice in this day. Souls reaching for the sky. Here we
Whoop,
are
whoop.
in
I'm getting the
paradise.
goosebumps.
United
Me
rhythms
too.
make us one. Passion's fire fills the air. Enjoy the beauty of the sun.
Come on, y'all. $100 from Providence. $100 on a bus ticket from Providence.
Straight to the Super Bowl.
Right to the Super Bowl. It takes a lot of balls.
Yeah, this is out of body experience.
Now, did you guys? What was the rehearsal like for this thing? Were all these creatures on stage? They do dress rehearsal and everything.
We did a rehearsal, but no, not with all the people that were holding them up.
Wow.
Yeah, we had to fly to Montreal for the fitting, to the Cirque du Soleil headquarters.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
How did it come about? This was like a collaboration with Cirque du Soleil that
Yes, this was a collaboration with Cirque du Soleil. Just before this, we were doing a lot with them in Vegas. We did a few after parties of their opening shows. And so we, the friend of ours, they reached out and asked if we could perform the song, if I could perform it.
this is
it's a little hard to hear Anané.
Yeah, maybe turn it down a little bit.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yes.
the music director is Alain from Montreal, right? Is he who you work with over there?
It wasn't Alain directly. It came from Guy. He reached out to Louis and asked if he would do the.
Because they're huge house music fans. If you're not aware, yeah, like Cirque has got a big bridge into the house music.
Yeah.
Whoa.
We were doing work with them during this period in Vegas. We did we also performed Elements of Life at the opening of Ka,
Wow.
the after party, and then we did a few others, and that's how this came about because we were at that time working with them a lot in Vegas, and so Guy reached out to Louis and asked if he'd compose the song and if I would do the lead, and so we got together with Blaze and wrote One Dream.
So cool. Oh, because what is Elements of Life consisted of? Like, who are the key players in the group?
Elements of Life is myself, Josh Milan. At the time, it was Raul Midon. And we've had the key members that stay is Luisito Quintero.
Luisito.
That's in Tosca now. It was Albert Sterling Menendez. And then Roberto Quintero and Jean Perez. Then we had, we've done different artists have come in and out, and now we have the girls. We're known as SOM, the Shades of Melanin. The background girls is
I love that name.
yes, Ramona and Dawn Tallman and myself, and as I said, conducting. Who did I forget somebody? And we had Gerard Snell on drums, but now Luisito does both drums and the timbales and the percussion, all of that. So it's been what, more like 10, 15 years? And then one year we toured like heavy. I mean, we did the whole tour bus thing. We went from Slovakia to Paris. We did the Rockskills Festival. We did WOMAD Festival. We did the Montreux Jazz Festival, South Africa, Cape Town Jazz Festival. We did the Blue Notes just recently, actually. We just did in February. We were in Tokyo at the Blue Note with Elements of Life for 2 nights. We did London as well in January. So it's a beautiful. It's just amazing to do the live. The whole collective live with Louis conducting and being on a stage with musicians and doing live music. It's just a whole other kind of feeling. It's really amazing.
And those albums, Elements of Life albums, were just re-released, right?
They were just re-released.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we remixed one of the tracks, the Hot Music track, which was huge honor to participate in that.
Absolutely.
I wanted to roll back, Anané, and talk a little about something we've spoken about the show, and like how important it is in dance music for us to really kind of make our culture more inclusive and make dance music a more inclusive community and industry is people of color and women in leadership roles. So you're actually really with the label, that's a really amazing place to be. And Charlie had touched on this, but I don't think we got to dig deep into like why you started the label and what's that like being a woman owning a label and I think why is that important to have more women in that position, more people of color in that position?
I mean, it's very rare that I stop and think like, oh, I'm a woman who owns a label. I'm just, to me, I'm a label owner. Until when I get into interviews and conversations and people bring it up to me and say how rare it is. And so being a woman in this position, for me, it's very empowering. And I hope that what I do can inspire and empower other women in our industry to go for it. It's much needed. It is very much needed, but at the same time, I just made a post the other day where, I saw a festival, and the lineup is 12 DJs, and out of the 12 is a one woman DJ. And so we need some change as to how these festival promoters are booking, because there's so much talent. We can hold our own, and we can have labels and run a business and be a CEO and have, and find talent and do the business side of it as well. And it's, like I said, it's really, really needed. I personally started the label because for me, it was a way to give back and give opportunity to young artists for all the opportunities that I've gotten in my life. And so when I started, like I said, I had no plans on DJing. I wasn't really interested in being a DJ, being married to one of the DJs of all DJs. So, but Louis would always say to me, you should play music. You should play music. You have a good ear, because I do collect music, and especially music from my country and from Africa. And so it wasn't till I went to visit a friend of mine, Stefan Bauscher, at the Submerser one night. And we had just finished recording Anané's World. And so it was like a break between, looking for a home to shop the album to and stop touring. And as an artist, as a creative, you always looking for something to do. So I went to visit Stefan one night at the Submerser, and it was underneath the Mercer Hotel, and it was just this cute little lounge with an incredible Steve Dash sound system.
Yeah, it was incredible. That was a great club.
It was just amazing. And so I'm there one night, and I'm talking to Stefan, and I'm like, wow, this is so cool. And this is, the vibe was eclectic. The DJ that night was just playing everything. And Stefan was like, well, do you DJ? I'm like, no, but I play music. I've done party, whatever. He's like, you should calm down and play sometime. It's nothing serious. It's just creating a vibe. Just play what you want. I'm like, you know what? So I came home. I told Louis, I'm like, I'm going to take his offer on it. So I remember setting up exactly where I am right now, this little console I have here, coming home and just burning CDs all night, burning CDs of all the music that I liked. And so he gave me, it was a Saturday night, and I played from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. And I played everything that I love about music, from old school hip hop to disco, world music, Latin music, house music, everything in between. And it wasn't, like he said, it was just creating a mood. So that night he said, listen, some of our clients asked who you were, would you like to come back? Like, okay. So I'm like, all right, I think it's getting serious. So I come home and
what's going on here? You get model scouted on the walking around the streets in New York. You get invited back from your first gig. You got to get a residency off the backs of your first ever DJ gig. What's going on here?
Well, you know what? I don't know. blessings upon blessings, being chosen, believing in life, believing in yourself that you've been chosen for something. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
And so I just started practicing. And the second time I went, he said, listen, let's do a residency. Why don't you do it once a month here? And I'm
Oh, cool.
I couldn't believe, I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. And so I started doing it once a month. I called it Anané Selections. And because I got to play everything that I loved about music. And then I started practicing and learning how to mix. And contrary to belief that Louis taught me how to play, what Louis did was I went downstairs to his studio with a notebook and a pen, and I drew a diagram of the console. And I said, okay, Louis, what does this button do? Okay, no. What does this button do? No. What does this button do? No. And he's like, okay, because he's very much okay, let me see what you got. Is this what you want to do? All right, let's see what you can do. So I came back upstairs with my notes and just started to practice. And I did this residency once a month. And I did it from October until that following March, that Winter Music Conference. And Louis asked me to play at the Vega Records party. And there was some people from Europe there. And they're like, okay, we want to bring you to Europe. And I'm like, are you, and all this happened. And I'm a believer in life of living free and open to what comes to you. Because as a little girl, I thought I had it all planned out. I had, by this age, I'd be married. By this age, I'd had children. By this age, by this, and nothing went according to the plan. And so being open and living with an open heart and an open mind to what the universe gives us, I'm a true believer and example of that. And so I played, and they invited me to come to Italy for my first gig. There was like 5,000 people in Italy, but they knew me already from the music that I had done. And so I would get up on the console from playing music and jump up on the console and sing some of the songs that they knew. And one of the things that I can say is that I learned in front of the public. All my mistakes, all whatever I had to become better at, was all in the public side because of who my partner is. And so it takes a lot of courage and believing in yourself to continue and to be able to do it, and to know that you have something special and you want to contribute to music. Because at the end of the day, we're here to make people happy, right? We're here to make people smile. We're here to make people dance. We're here to make music that resonates in the soul. We're here to vibrate the world through the music that we do. That in a nutshell, that's my job.
Oh yeah.
I want to rewind and note two things. One, for people who are upcoming DJs or people who want to be DJs, right? This is a great example of how selection and taste and knowing your history of music is as important as the skills, right? The actual skill of learning how to mix records, it just takes time. It just takes a little bit of time. It's not something that you either have or it's not like that. It's something that like anybody can learn how to mix records. I truly believe that. What makes a great DJ is this deep knowledge and this deep love and appreciation for music, but also for a wide range of music, I think. And that's like, I think that's a really important lesson to take from that, right? You didn't go in, you didn't just play house. Oh, okay, well, I make house music. I'm just going to play house. No, you came and you reflected yourself in the music you played, which I think is often lost. And upcoming DJs think, okay, well, I just need to learn the skills, or I just need to be really good at this one thing. No, it's about letting your love of music, of all music, shine through in your DJ.
And that's being a music lover, is letting all the music. I mean, I would throw Apache in the middle of my set sometimes, but it didn't matter. But from what I understand, even though I didn't get to be there for the Garage or for Larry Levan, from what I understand in reading history, Larry was the same way. He would throw what he felt, musically in his set. It didn't have to beat match. It didn't have to be perfect, but it made you feel something. And that's what I think for me, being in the clubs and being in, like I said, in a place like Nell's, where you heard hip hop and you heard reggae and you heard dance hall and you heard drum and bass and you heard house all in one night, and be able to pass that on and play that and know when to throw in that cameo in, or when to, you know what I mean? And that's what it's about, you know? And so I've taken that approach, and with everything I do, what I do comes from my heart. I can't be anything else but myself. You know, what you see is what you get, whether you see me here, whether you see me at the park, backstage. I am who I am, and there's no more, no less to it. I wasn't created or thought up of, you know, in a, you know, meeting room. And that's the beauty of having an independent label, as a artist, to be on an independent label and to do a song like Plastic People, you know, like, where does it fit? Okay,
oh, this is a segue. I feel a segue coming.
It's kind of reggae, but it's kind of house, but it's kind of rock and roll. Like, what is that? And so that's the beauty of being independent, where you truly get to express yourself and be yourself. Because at the end of the day, that is what it's about, is finding your true passion and what you want to say and the story that you want to tell, and how do you want to make people move and feel on that dance floor. And so that's what I get to do. And that's so beautiful and such a blessing. And I'm so, so grateful for it. And so I hope that what I do can inspire other women and other girls to, you know, to do it. And we're going to go through that. I mean, I remember coming to gigs at one point. I loved getting dressed up to go to a gig, and I'd put high heels on and a dress, and the promoter, when I'd get to the club, would ask, you know, my assistant, like, okay, you ready? And he's like, no, it's not me, she's playing. He's like, and he'd look me up and down like, oh, like that. And like, yeah. So, you know, you go through different phases, I think, as women, but at the end of the day, this is what we're built for. Women, I think by default, we wear all hats. You know, we're moms, we're wives, we take care of a home, we maintain our families, and still be able to run a business and, you know, find talent, have your paperwork right, have your trademarks right, have your licensing right, look at your contracts, have your right lawyers, because, you know, getting scammed is not fun, which happened. Hard lesson happens to us, but, you know, you pull through and you learn hard lessons in life, and you keep going and you keep pushing through. Because sometimes I think once a month, I would say to Christian Mantini, who's my label manager, I think once.
Shout out to Christian.
Shout out to Christian Mantini for all the amazing work you do. I think once a month I tell him I want to quit.
Wow.
Like, all right, I'm done. I want to go like up in the mountains or maybe Ibiza and just go. You can handle all this because I'm over this. And then I have this conversation with you guys, or I do like I said, the live stream for Nulu movement, or I get a message from a woman or a young girl writing to me saying, listen, can you give me a few words, some pointers? You know, what you do is amazing and what you make me feel is amazing, and I want to do it. And it's moments like that that are like, okay, all right, there is a purpose here, and there is a greater purpose than, you know, I'm not looking to, you know, being the headliner DJ and the flavor of the month DJ. You know, I'm looking for a long career in music, and that my label keeps working and putting out good music. And when I first started Nulu and started putting out Afro music, there was no Afro category. There was no Afro charts. There was no Afro on TrackSource or Beatport. And so the music, the first release was from Amroots, a duo from Angola and Mozambique.
Wow.
That was the first release that I did. And Louis said to me, he said, you know, I think you got something special here. It's, you know, it's different, but it's part of who I am and my roots and what my natural inclination to music is the Afro sound. And so starting with Afro then, you know, 11 years ago, you couldn't find it. We were the music was selling as soulful. And today, to see where Afro music is today, and having launched and put out some music from some great artists as their first release, you know, Black Motion, their first release was on Nulu, and so was the Jeff, and Da Capo's, his first remixes was on Nulu as well. So, you know, there's quite a rich history, and I'm really proud of it. And I'm not looking for, you know, the big picture. For me, I'm okay being underground. For me, it's always quality over quantity. And now hearing, you know, some of these bigger underground commercial labels opening up Afro divisions is interesting. It's cool. All right, it's the thing to do now. But yeah, to all my ladies out there who are listening and watching, you know, keep doing your thing. Keep striving. You know, there's the business side to it that you need to have intact to find yourself a good lawyer, get your trademarks. You are your brand, you know, as you guys know, you are your brand. So it is possible, and we need more of it. We definitely need more of it.
We're gonna it sounds like there was a delay again. So if you want to just jump out and jump back in again, we're gonna play Batido Profundo, and then we can talk about it when you come back in.
Let's check out Anané Vega's Batido Profundo.
Yes, this is my jam. I love this song.
This makes me so sad. I want to go back to Italy.
I feel you.
Is this like all Amalfi Coast vibes?
No, this was actually Pescara, which is on the eastern coast.
Pescara, yeah, we've been here.
Seaside.
This is going to be our first summer in a while, Eli, that we did not get to eat.
Go to Italy, I know, man.
Eat wonderful Italian food, seaside. Oh,
but you know, it does make you realize how privileged we are to get to do that so regularly. You know, like we really maybe I don't want to say I took it for granted because I was so thankful every moment of it, but it still makes you realize how lucky we were to be able to be traveling around the world all the time.
Absolutely, man.
Let's turn that music up.
Let's bump it.
Woo!
Shout out to Lady Doris. Oh, shout out to Christian.
I just saw Christian in the video.
Yeah, he's an extra. He's doing what you did in the Eric Sermon video.
Michael, shout out. Shout out to Akema 360.
This is so cool.
This song is called Batido Profundo. Hey, Mike, can you run the title on the bottom for people?
For people that have never been to where this is filmed in Italy, this is exactly the experience of raving in Italy.
Yep.
You start out with twirling on the beach, and then after some wonderful food and laughter with friends, you segue to an outdoor venue and then end up falling in love.
Yep.
By sunset, by sunrise.
Yep.
Night after night.
That's the common way.
Tell us about the male vocalist on this record.
His name is Danny Lacido. And actually, we have a new project that I hope to be able to get to Italy this year to record. We're doing an EP together. Danny Lacido actually had some big hits in the 90s. He's an incredible singer-songwriter, and he sent me over an EP of music for us to do. Our voices just blended so well.
It's so beautiful on that side. It's incredible.
It's so beautiful and so passionate, and lyrically it's beautiful. So after the Anané's World album, I have a disco EP coming on Nervous called Take a Ride. The first single is a remake that Louis and I did of Get on the Funk Train. That's coming in August. And then after that will be this project for Nulu with Danny Lacido. And hopefully with my Portuguese passport, I'll be able to escape.
Yeah. Speaking of disco stuff, your cover of Yoko Ono Walking on Thin Ice is one of my faves.
Oh, really?
That one out quickly, yeah.
You know, we did that at the Chelsea Hotel, totally guerrilla style with no permits, and just rented a room and went in there and shot that cover.
Dope.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's actually one of my all-time favorite tracks, Walking on Thin Ice, just because I decided to do that. I was approached by Lou Gorbea to do it, and he gave me the single vinyl of the song, and the liner notes from Yoko Ono that I read is what made me want to do that song. And because I love Walking on Thin Ice, and sometimes I want to leave classics, just leave them classics, don't remake them. But after reading her liner notes, it was almost like speaking to me. And basically it was just her story with John Lennon and her being an artist in her own right and what she had to go through being married to John Lennon. And at one point they had to actually separate because the amount of hate that she was getting, they pretended to be separated from the fans, the Beatle fans. And she had to really not prove herself, but she had to stay true to her art and still continue doing it and not giving up, because she was an artist before she met him, you know? So after reading that, I was like, you know what? The words, the lyrics just speaking to me in this story, and I absolutely love Walking on Thin Ice.
It's the original is really powerful. Your cover is also really powerful in its own way, and I love, it's such a the fact that the original ended up like such a powerful hit on the disco dance floors in the 70s.
Yeah,
it's such a weird song, right? But it still has
weird.
It so embodies the like openness of disco.
It feels very, very New York too.
Very New York, super New York. But then I think your cover like is great because it allows us to then be able to play that in a contemporary set. You know, like you take that spirit and translate it to house music, which is so great.
That's one of the things as an artist, and that I felt, especially in our dance community, that we needed more of is the artistic side and the vision side, and like Plastic People, which I hope we get to see.
Yeah, let's get that one ready, Mike, and we'll
or as an artist and the music, there's an art, and in art there's so many different elements, like a painting and all the different colors that create this whole vision, and so part of it is the image. and the image and what you look like and transforming from characters and the different songs and what you're trying to convey. And so this one was directed by David Foote. It was a 17-hour shoot to do this particular video. I co-wrote this song with Dwayne Harden and Lisa Fisher, my all-time idol,
Yes.
which by the way, when I was living back home as a little girl, I bought Save Me on cassette, wrote out the lyrics, and pretended to be Lisa Fisher in the mirror in my bedroom.
Unbelievable.
A dear friend of mine, and I actually collaborated with her.
It's so cool.
Dreams coming true. I mean, it's just amazing. So yeah.
I mean, not only folks are these guys, Anané and Louis, and the people that are, not only are they the tastemakers and the originators, but they are surrounded by the top players in our genre, in house music genre, and that trickles into
R&B and
Latin, jazz, Afro, R&B, disco. I mean, these guys aren't sampling; they're remaking the classics in a modern way that is, keeps the story going internationally. It's so cool.
Let's roll the track. Sultry 1962. Shout out.
Yes. Loving the big hair.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
Sister Rosie, about to walk the dog. Before she leaves, she sees a mad doggy trying to bury the bone. He's digging and digging and digging in her backyard. So she pulled out the truth.
Yeah.
And shot him through the heart. Plastic people, I see through your evil. You're such a plastic people. I see through your evil. You're such a. Is anybody living behind them eyes? You're such a plastic people.
Awesome guitar on this record.
This video is just insane.
At the crystal ball, the cats are scratching and the dogs are howling in the hall. The neighbors are peeping.
Oh yes.
Gypsy shaking under the cross hanging on the wall. You're such a plastic people. I see through your evil. You're such a plastic people.
The lyrics.
I see through your evil. Is anybody living?
Each Tina got a crush on you now,
Behind
Anané.
them eyes, you're such a plastic people. I see through your evil. Get yourself out of my head. Plastic people, the words you say to me are dead. Plastic people, get yourself out of my face. Plastic people, stop trying to get up in my space. Plastic people.
Oh man.
Yeah, Yeah, wow. I mean, it's so
Wow.
it's so amazing to see one the difference, the contrast of the songs of that one versus Betito Profundo, and
Right.
also just the videos and the styles. I mean, it's like you're covering such a wide range of sounds and vibes, with the imagery as well. So it's amazing.
Thank you. I mean, that's part of being independent, right? Is being an independent artist and be creative and create freely from the heart and from the spirit and what you want to say and how you want to look and who you want to be. There's no greater feeling than to be free in that way. Whereas, being on a major, you're closed in a box and you have to, be something that maybe you're not. So I'm really grateful that I've been able to walk my path and walk my journey in my truest of ways and expressing myself from my heart and having someone like Louis who's been able to hear my vision and get them out with me. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, incredible. Shout out. I mean, independent music is what makes dance music what it is, right? We got to keep that spirit at the forefront of how we do things. And this is another thing that, this reset of COVID and the pandemic, I think is going to really move a lot of things back to that independent spirit and that independent vibe instead of, the kind of corporate way some of it had been going. So I think that's actually can also be a positive we can build on. Coming out of this. Yeah. So, I mean, Anané, it's been so amazing hanging with you, schmoozing with you.
So cool. We love schmoozing with you.
Yeah, this is great.
Oh, one thing I forgot earlier is we want to take a press, like a thumbnail pic for this edition as it goes up. I forgot to do this backstage before we started. I'm going to hit you up, Anané, after, and we're going to ask you to take a photo with like a coffee cup or a pickle jar or something deli related. If you could take a selfie with that in front of that backdrop.
Okay.
But before we go, we mentioned this at the beginning that you're joining us for Rave the Vote next Friday.
Yes.
We're so happy to have you. What does it mean to you to participate in something like this, to engage young people and get them registered and to the polls?
Well, anytime that I get to use my voice to inspire others and get out there to make change, that's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing to be in this position. And so get out there and vote and be heard and choose what needs to happen, what you believe in. Do your research, of course, and know what you stand for, what resonates with you. That's one of the things we need to also understand is we can agree to disagree, but we have to change for the better, definitely. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, absolutely.
And for having me next week. And thank you for all that you guys do and bring to the scene and to the music as well. It's very much appreciated. So
thank you, Anané.
Thank you, Anané.
We are huge fans. Can't wait to see you in real life and share a dance floor with you again. I mean, it's gonna be amazing when we finally get to do that for sure.
Yes, and thank you to everyone. I see all my ladies, Nulu warriors who support me. Lady Rock, Sultry, Shonda. I see Kim. I see Deb. I see all of you. Thank you. I appreciate you, Christian. Thank you, Louis. Thank you.
Yes,
Nico, I love you.
So much love to you guys.
Oh, that's so dope. She's the bomb.
Yep.
She's the bomb. She's the bomb.
Thebomb.com.
Thebomb.org.
Oh,
it's non-for-profit. It's the
so yeah, well, thanks for everybody tuning in again. Next week we have a special industry edition of Schmoozing with Marisa from Liaison Artists. She is one of the co-owners of the most important, biggest independent electronic music booking agency in the United States. They've maintained their independence even as dance music got kind of gobbled up by some big corporate players here. They're the only agency that's grown as an independent and stuck with that. Marisa Stevens and Andrew Kelsey founded it and have really carried the torch for independent business, independent agencies here in the U.S. Also, shout out to Inbal and Prisma, who's also carried that torch as well. And we also have a special guest that Maurice is bringing along named Alva Johnson, who is from Atlanta, Georgia, who's been super involved with the scene down there, and also a woman of color, a Black woman who is holding it down in dance music and the music industry in general. So we aim to inspire, a generation of women and girls and Black people and brown people so they can see people like themselves who are doing amazing things in dance music. So we want to try to keep shining that light, and that's really a privilege and an honor for us to be able to do that here on Schmoozing. So
Absolutely.
Marisa and Alva are no exception to those bosses that we love to bring on here.
Totally. And they have some very unique stories to share with us and unique perspective. That's going to be a great show. It's going to be a great show. Well,
before
look,
we say goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time of the show we do our final vinyl thoughts. Now, here's the problem.
Oh, yeah, shout out to
Louis. Shout out. He was glued. We love that. We love you, Louis. We'd love to have you on the show, and we'll settle to have you anywhere. Well, really, Rave the Vote.
Louis on
That's
Rave
going to
the
be
Vote on Friday,
so
next Friday
awesome.
as well.
That lineup is fat. So many great acts and so many great minds and contributors on that. Yeah. And it's going to be dope. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, back to the vinyl thoughts.
Back to the vinyl thoughts, which is it is a Louis Vega statement. It is an Anané statement. It is an elements of life statement. Now, we were talking about these guys doing these incredible cover versions. One of my favorites from their collection is their Louis, Anané's, and Mr. V's cover of Bunny Mac's Let Me Love You. That came out on Vega Records. Now, this is the most embarrassing vinyl thought because look, we got one copy that's at Eli's parents' house in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and he forgot to grab it, or we didn't even think about that. It's sitting there. We got another copy coming to me because I purchased it for this episode through Discogs, and you know what the heck is going on with shipments these days. You never know. Yeah. So embarrassingly, it's not here. So we're going to play.
It's a virtual vinyl thought.
It's a virtual. It's not IRL. So here we go. Without further ado, Anané featuring Mr. V. Shout out Mr. V over on the West Coast, San Francisco. Victor, we love you. I want to have you on the show, man. I'm hollering at Mr. V.
I've been talking to V. V is
the jam. This dude is so funny. Let's do it. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Master at Work. So shout out to Kenny too.
Yeah.
We love you, Kenny Dope.
What a squad.
You guys are the
Kenny,
best.
Louis, Anané, and Victor on a track.
I'll throw Todd Terry in there. What up, Todd? You the man. Louis. All right, peace, guys. It's been a great episode. We'll see you next week.
See y'all next week. Thanks for tuning in.
I've been staring at you for more than an hour and a half. Body shaped like an hourglass. Nice shape, slim waist. Come on, girl, give me a taste. Got me ready, got me feeling to invade your space. In the club all night, I wanna show you love, show you the ring, show you how I get down. Come on, girl, tell me love, how that sound. I know you like the way this is going down. Please, baby, don't stop now. Cause I like the way you feel when you rub on me, hug on me. Show me that you're stuck on me. At the end of the night, you be loving me. So swing this way, it's time to play. Got my man Louis Vega to the break of day. Kenny Dope, Anané, Luisito, Puerto Rico, you know how we go. This is dedicated to all our people across the world, across the ocean. Do yourself a favor and get in motion. We got the beats to get you open. So move, shake, bounce, roll. The music is slamming, it's time